You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the December 12th meeting of the Michigan City Port Authority Commission. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesstheportecounty.org.
City Port Authority Board of Directors meeting, December 12th, 5 p.m. I call the meeting to order, and I'm looking for approval or corrections to November 21st meeting minutes.
Make a motion, we accept them. Minutes.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. All right. Comments from the public? Anybody from the public have any comments? No? Okay. All right. Reports from the Harbor Master, Mr. Frank.
All right, since last time the transformers did arrive, we did get them installed into the cabinets. Midwestern Electric came and wired them up. We had a couple hiccups there, but got that sorted last week. And today, Colin from Edgewater Resources and a subcontractor of theirs that is electrical engineer, they're out there today testing each individual slip. And it looked like they were going to finish with the front half of the 700 dock today and haven't really found any significant issues so far. They'll continue on that the next couple days, and then we're also going to have them recheck or at least spot check 4, 5, and 6 just to make sure they're still where we thought they were when they finished that project. As you probably noticed coming in here, the Christmas lights are on. They'll be on till probably the first weekend after New Year's. And unless anybody has any questions, I'll leave it at that for today.
When you finish with all the electrics, like you just briefed us, the 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 will essentially be the same, right? They'll all have essentially the same kind of updated hardware, software, hardware.
Yep.
And they'll, okay.
Yep. When we're all finished, that whole side should be updated and working the same.
Good. Fine, thank you.
Which should also decrease any chance of flow of extra electricity into the water. That was
That's
the main
the
issue.
idea. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, we got added to the agenda the Assistant Harbor Master, Mr. Jackson, would like to go over a few things. So, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you. I just thought it was very important for me to address you guys. I hadn't talked to you since I came on board in May. Being the end of the season, I kind of thought it'd be important that you hear from me and hear kind of where I'm going and where I think that we ought to be and kind of the plans for next year. One of the first things is I'm new to this industry, so to say that I've had a bit of a learning curve is an understatement. I came from logistics, warehousing, and distribution, so that was kind of my forte. I do the forklifts and that kind of thing, so that's kind of what brought me up. One of the first directives that Tim gave me was to get this marina and all of its personnel running in the same direction. We had a bad habit at that point of Washington Park playing versus Trail Creek, so we had two separate entities going in opposite directions. One of the first things he wanted me to do was get them going in the same direction. So what we've done here recently over the last 8-10 weeks is we've been having daily meetings every morning, going over the daily plan, assigning daily tasks, and everybody's going out and doing those daily tasks, and it's not marina specific. It is Port Authority specific. You work for the Port Authority, you do Port Authority work. Now we will have some specialization, right? I do have some forklift drivers, and they will have to be at Trail Creek during the summer, but as far as just general stuff, it's all going to be done by Port Authority personnel and not Trail Creek or Washington Park. At the same time, we're going to be targeting our labor. When I say that, is that it seemed at the very beginning we would have 3 or 4 people down at Trail Creek, and every one of them thought they were the forklift driver. So the forklift was getting taken care of, but the ramp was getting ignored. Ramp was getting ignored, ice was getting ignored. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start scheduling people. They will have specific tasks that they will cover in that day, and then the daily meetings will go over that. But we'll have assigned ramp personnel, we'll have assigned forklift personnel, we'll have assigned gas dock personnel, we'll have assigned personnel for assigned hours going forward in the summer, so some of that confusion should go away. We did bring on an extra full-time, that's kind of some of the budgetary stuff you talked about in the last meeting, where I asked to move some money from seasonal into permanent, so I could hire another full-timer. I thought it very important that we have on staff enough forklift drivers to handle the summer business. Instead of having to train a fourth forklift driver every spring, we need to have that on staff so we can just go right into the spring and not have to worry about training another forklift driver. If we do train another forklift driver, it's just going to be extra for going forward. And that brings me to another point is we will have primaries and backups for all of our heavy equipment. For instance, right now, since Jerry left our maintenance guy, Grant's been our barge driver. We're now training Nate to drive the barge. So whenever we get boat show for it, or not boat show, I keep saying boat show, that's so 30 years ago. The boat races, if we have to do buoys, one guy can take the buoys out in the morning, then the other guy can come in and get the buoys out at night. I don't have to have one guy here for 14 hours to do buoys. That's kind of the thought behind that. It's just one of those examples. I'm going to be introducing a new scheduling system at Trail Creek next spring. We're already working on that. That is already pretty much, if you want to call it, in beta. The RAC personnel, the RAC customers, will be able to go online and schedule an appointment for their boat to be forklifted into the water. They're going to be in 10-minute increments. All right? I know I have 2 forklift drivers, but I have ins and outs. So we're going to do one every 10 minutes. And online they can schedule it for 11 o'clock. They will have to show up prior to 11 for them to get their boat, but they will then go into the queue. We'll still take walk-ins, but the walk-ins are going to go to the next available appointment on the schedule. And what that's going to try to do is avoid the problem that we had last Father's Day, where we had 20 people show up at 11 o'clock and half of them didn't get their boats for 2 hours. So if we do scheduling and we communicate that out, I think we'll be more successful with them showing up, and they're going to know when they can come and still give them good service that way. Down here, I'm going to communicate. I'm going to do a little bit different. We're going to try. I throw a lot of stuff against the wall, see if it sticks. If it sticks, we'll keep at it. If it kind of runs off the wall, then we'll go away from it. One thing I'm going to try and do next summer is on work orders. I'm going to try and handle work orders a little bit differently. And when I say that, it specifically comes around things like raising and lowering finger piers. They want to bring them in all the time, and we're wanting them done all the time, but half the problem with lowering and raising finger piers is it takes half the day just to get the equipment out there. And you don't get a whole lot done. So what we're going to try and do is schedule 4 times in the summer to do finger piers. We're going to do one set. We'll do a set that's been scheduled before Memorial Day. We'll do a set that's been scheduled before the 4th of July. Do another set before the boat races. And then if we have to, we'll do another set before Labor Day. I don't think that's going to be the case. And setting expectations with the customers around that. So when they schedule that appointment, we're going to give them a communication. And that communication is going to say things like, you schedule to have your finger pier raised or lowered, here's what you need to be aware of. The water rises and lowers depending on what part of the season that we're in. That could be an issue later down the road. If you have any mats or any stairs or anything like that on the dock or on the finger pier, we're going to drive right by your finger pier and it's not going to get done, and we're going to cancel your order. There's going to be stuff like that. So if we start setting expectations around these work orders, around this stuff, then I think our customers don't come back to us as much with that. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. I'll try to keep this brief. We're looking at using drones next summer. All right, we're going to use drones from everything from scaring birds away to what kind of enforcement can we use on, have they been out, are they outside the confines of their slip? Can we throw a boat, can we throw a drone up there, take a picture of the marina, and know who's 3 feet outside their slip? Can we do that? We're going to look at doing that. How can it help us with security? Can we set this thing up and have it actually do a loop along the fence line? And everybody knows we've got this thing going along the fence line now. Is that just another layer of security that we can add? So that's just some of the things that we're looking at in the future. And the biggest thing that I can tell you that I want to do here is I want all of our employees to want to come to work. If they want to come to work, then we won't have to be training people every year. And that's what I'm gonna try and do with all these guys. We went a lot younger too, so these are our 3 newest full-time employees back here. So we went younger. All right, and if, other than that, if you don't have any questions of me, I'll go away now.
Could you introduce them, please?
Yeah, so this is Kyle Ratliff. That is Nate Wojcicki. And that is Josh Bush.
Hi, Josh. Good to see you. Glad to have you on board.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Question.
Yes, sir.
How do you plan on getting this information out to the people who are our customers?
Well, we're gonna email it out. We'll do the blast within the McPort system. We have a blast email that we can send. But I think it's also going to be important for us to start communicating that as we see customers, right? So as I see them, I'll start talking to them about some of these things that we're doing. But I think an email and the manual, and their contracts, when we start sending out that kind of stuff, then that'll go along with it. It's gonna be challenging at the very beginning, especially with the rat customers. It's gonna be very challenging, but I think in the long run, it will be better for it. Because it's all about what makes it better for the Port Authority and its customers, not just one. So.
As you know, we've got, I think, 5 slip holders here on the board. You might get bombarded with a few ideas, just of the things you're talking about, like that blast email, maybe more than once, maybe 3 or 4 times during the off season or so, just so everybody sees it or so. But, thank you.
Anything else? I'll be talking to you from time to time. I just don't think it's very necessary for me to sit here and talk to you every meeting. Tim pretty much has that covered, and Mary Ann's got that covered. So only when I think I've got something important enough, I'll address it.
And we're gonna push a lot more information into the restrooms and stuff up there for all this information. That way, it's posted. We're gonna post a lot more stuff this year. So that's a big plus. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Welcome on board, everybody.
Thanks for being here. That's for sure. All right, Ms. Pelicki, reports from the Assistant Harbor Master.
The lady in the back row there is Liz Reynolds, and she's doing the minutes now. It's another new employee that we've had for a couple months.
Hi, Liz.
We're just getting ready to close. Tomorrow will be our last day. We'll be in here for the public, and Wednesday we'll be in here just closing things up. I'll be in and out to do payrolls and things, as I'm sure that Tim will, but otherwise we'll be closing up for the season.
Good. Get some time off, that's good.
When do we return to the office, or do you return to the
The
office?
4th.
Okay.
And that puts our next meeting on the 9th, correct? Sure.
Yes. I'd ask her earlier that, I've got it on my list.
All right. Any other things for Ms. Pelicki? Being done, we're gonna go to Mr. Ferguson, Budget and Financial Oversight Review and Approval of Bills to be Paid.
Thanks, Socrates. You've all got a summary of the bills, pretty much all of those say everything. I've got a couple comments. The first 4 on the summary I just touched base on, they total a good 53,000 of the 63, all the rest are pretty small. The NIPSCO bill is essentially for 2 billings. The auto insurance, our auto insurance is always separate from the package that we get for all the other insurance. It's the only other one. So that's the auto insurance. I'm not sure if that's 6 months or a year, but pardon
A
me?
year.
It is a year.
And we
Thank you.
saved $400 by paying it for a year at a time.
Okay, good. The $28,530 is a watercraft fee. That's an in and out, that's stuff we collect, and it goes back out at, I think it's just once a year,
Once a
isn't it? So that's not really an expense, it's stuff we've already collected. And the $6,000 there where it says environmental, Tim and Mary Ann advised me that that's stormwater testing.
Right.
$6,000. The rest are pretty small, so you've got the whole shebang on the other page you've got forwarded. So unless there are any questions, I'll make a motion that we accept the bills as shown for $63,495.74.
Second.
You got a second, any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nothing else, Mr. Ferguson?
Yes, I have one other thing. A couple of meetings ago, I mentioned that some of the NIPSCO bills seem to be higher than we were used to, and even though we knew there might be some rate increases or that there were some rate increases. So I just took a look at all of them. The staff pulled up a whole bunch of NIPSCO invoices, and I got a history of looking at that stuff, so it was fun getting involved in it. But anyway, there was a meter, for whatever reason, probably because maybe we disconnected it during on the 7-800 dock area. But anyway, there was a meter there back in April that got disconnected, and so we didn't get charged for some of that. And then when it got reconnected on a new meter, it got the meter number, it got a new meter, and so they back charged somehow how we owed them. It was about 4 months worth. And so it was an additional like 8,000 or 9,000 on top of what a normal bill would be. So that month, whatever that month was, it was, so anyway, we know why that happened, and we've got documentation if we want to look any deeper on that. So I just want to let you know we took a look at that. It was on the record that I was going to look at it, so I just reported back to the board. It all looks like just part of the expense. And I did know that Mary Ann, I'd asked Mary Ann for some year-to-date where we were on some of our incoming revenue and outgoing. And while I haven't gone over anything with her, I did notice that we look like the electric bills, what we budgeted for versus what's come in, unless you've got more bills coming out the next couple of weeks. We budgeted for electricity about right where it came in, which was pretty good. And we had bumped it to do that, roughly. So unless you have any questions on the NIPSCO stuff, I'll turn it back over to the boss.
All right. Any more questions for Sam? Anybody? No? All right. Mr. Haynes, claims and insurance.
We didn't vote on that.
Oh, you did?
I just second it.
You seconded it. Okay, all in favor of paying the bills?
Aye.
Sorry.
Thought we,
I thought we did, but sorry. It's okay, we're good. All right, claims and insurance, Mr. Haynes.
No, all I was at, Charlie was here last meeting and renewed our policy. That's it.
Yeah. Seems like a pretty good year as far as any kind of claims or anything like that. We did pretty well there. Means everyone's paying attention, Ryan. All right, port operations, personnel, and marina policy. I think we're all on the right path after a pretty tumultuous year. I think we came through it pretty well. Looking forward to next year not having all the issues that we did this year. That's for sure. And I gotta say, I gotta commend your new staff and your old staff. They all seem to be doing a really good job because I don't hear any complaints about them. Just you, but the rest of them are great.
Get used to that.
So other than that, I don't have anything
I think
else.
the other guy that had my job before, they had a lot of complaints about him too. So.
It goes with the job. Territorial thing. All right, that's all I have. Any questions or anything there? Nope. All right, Mr. Messina, Boater Communications Special Events.
I have nothing.
I did see a little big list for tournaments came out, was posted somewhere. So it looks like a good season again next year.
Yeah.
All right, and Mr. Manner, Master Planning Special Projects and Park Liaison.
I have nothing to report.
All right. Pretty exciting here.
Yeah.
Advertising, Public Relations, Ms. Butner.
Nothing new to report.
Alright, okay. Well, we got the most exciting report of the day, the attorney report. Mr. Zach Newman.
Thank you. I had hoped to present to the board today the changes to the rules and regulations that I had drafted up several weeks ago. Unfortunately, I may have misplaced the comments that Mr. Messina had made apparently in one of these. And I'll go back into my office and look through it, but I don't have his comments, and I don't want to present to the board the changes to the rules and regulations that don't include the recommendations, about a dozen of them, I think. from a board member. So if we could hold off until our next meeting, I will redouble my efforts to try to locate this. If I can't locate it, I'll let you know ASAP, and then if you could, whatever you did, you re-highlight it, and then I guess put some notations into our old 2002 rules and regulations, then I will incorporate those into a revised presentation to the board, and then the board could take a look. Obviously, I'll give it to you before the meeting, and then the board could take a look at that, and then perhaps at the next meeting, they could be presented to the board for the board to adopt or to change or to discuss, whatever the board's pleasure happens to be. But I don't know where it is. I think Mary Ann said that she passed it along to me. I can't find it. But I'll work with Mr. Messina to locate it.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Any other questions from Mr. Zachman? We never heard any more out of,
That's right, go ahead.
we never heard any more out of Blue Chip after all this.
That was my question.
It just disappeared out of thin air. So, yeah.
Still waiting.
Yeah.
The last I heard, they had their engineer working on, well, what was it? It was legal descriptions and going through all the old documents that were generated in connection with the permitting process. I've been through those. I've been through them with Mr. Frame, and I think the sticking point is it's got to be available for fishing 24/7, 365. It's got to be open to the public and all that. And then there's the maintenance issue, because that thing's got some serious maintenance problems.
Correct, yeah.
Do you think it would do any good to reach out to them again and find out where they are?
Whatever the board's pleasure is, I could. It's a sleeping dog right now.
I just let that one lay, quite honestly, because they gotta figure out what's going on with that whole piece out there, because we have no interest in that wharf.
I think it's liability for us and additional costs.
Now, if they get that wharf canceled, that's a whole different ballgame.
Right. And that may be what they're doing. They may be working with the state to try to get that.
Their pocket's a little deeper to get that done, too.
Exactly.
In the long run, it'll save them.
On this subject, talk about, talk about the boardwalk, that whole issue, not necessarily the bathhouse, but that whole Spring Point thing. We've had a lot of discussion on there, and Mr. President brought up and said, is there anybody who really has any comments to make as far as looking to the future on that? And we've had a lot of back and forth discussion on that. It was a touch. It's been a touchy issue sometimes. So I encourage the board in the future, since we're kind of keeping it maybe on a back burner, but it's going to be there. I encourage the board to speak up on this issue, because sometime in the next probably 6-8 months, it's going to come up, and we're going to need to do something one way or another on it. So please, if you have any comments, how you feel about this whole issue, other than what we've already talked about, please say something. That's all I have.
Anything else for Mr. Zachman? No, good there. All right, new business, selection of the 2023 officers. Mr. Ferguson.
I'll take that on you. The nominating committee, of which you appointed me to be the chairman, met, and we decided who we felt would be good people to nominate to lead the board in the next year. I gave that information to Mr. Zach Noon, and as he has done in the past several years, I would be asking him to conduct a meeting on the election, please.
Certainly. Mr. Chairman, the nominating committee has a slate of candidates for the office of President, Vice President, Treasurer, and Secretary, and it is contained within this envelope. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, and the nominating committee has nominated for President, Mr. Socrates Gray; for Vice President, Mr. Bruce Manor; for Treasurer, Mr. Sam Ferguson; and for Secretary, Mr. Dan Messina. Have I accurately identified the persons who have been nominated for the various offices by the nominating committee?
Yes.
Indiana Code Section 8-10-5-5G requires that the director shall elect the office of President, Vice President, Treasury, and Secretary. This is the statutorily required election. To conduct the election, I'm calling for a vote of the directors to approve or disapprove the slate of officers as nominated by the nominating committee. If you approve the election of the candidates slated by the nominating committee, then please respond with aye. If you disapprove of the election of the candidates slated by the nominating committee, then please respond with nay. I shall now call the roll. Ms. Buettner,
Aye.
Mr. Childers,
Aye.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Haynes,
Aye.
Mr. Manor,
Aye.
Mr. Messina, and I don't know if it matters, but, I'm sorry, Mr. Ferguson,
Aye.
and I don't know if the president needs to vote on this, but it's,
Yeah, President, from what I understand, gets to vote
that's what I think.
on this, yes.
On the
He has
election.
in the past, always.
Yes, and I already called you, Mr. Gray. Okay, so the directors have approved the election of the candidates slated by the committee. Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay. All right, old business, Comrades, I think we have a plan on that now this year. That's a good thing. Cameras are in place. Stay tuned for more of that. Anybody else have any comments?
I have just one final comment for the year. I've been here 10, 11 years, I know. This has been the most tumultuous year for the Port Authority and the board to work through the problems that we've had, particularly concerning the electrical problems that Tim and staff have gone through. And I just wanted to say that I couldn't be more proud of the way that we've handled it. Some of the meetings that we've had with all the people and the way it was conducted, answered questions, got information out, anything could be done better. And we're sorry we had this, but it is what we had, and I thought we did a darn good job. I applaud the staff for what they did. It was hard work, a long time, and I just wanted to make a comment to the board on that.
Sure. Thank you. That's good. Anything else? Anybody? Anybody else want to bring up anything for the end of the meeting?
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everybody.
So I'm looking for a,
Make a motion to adjourn.
there we go.
Second.
What is that?